Hey guys, this is Kasul from Kasul Gaming's Productions, and today I'll be reviewing Death Stranding by Hideo Kojima. Now, Death Stranding is Hideo Kojima's first outing after the split with Konami, which we've all know about actually, and I personally think that this is his magnum opus as far as concept design, as far as voice acting, as far as just the gameplay loop and mechanic. Everything in his past video games has been surpassed by Death Stranding. And I actually really liked his video games that he has developed in the past, but this one, it just takes the cake for me because it actually changed the way that I think about video games in quite a few ways, and it also made me wonder if uh, if we have been taking uh, simple mechanics like walking or exploration in other open world video games for granted, because this game really makes you develop a new perspective regarding all of those mechanics. The reason I picked to review this game is because it's actually the most unique game that I've played ever in my life. I don't think that there is ever going to be a game like Death Stranding, because it did not resonate with as many people, but that's fine. That's what happens with art or something, when somebody tries to do something which is outside of the our expectations or our scope of understanding. That's what happens. But I personally think that Death Stranding is one of those games that in the future, at least, I think a lot of people will regard as an achievement in the field of sci-fi. I think this is one of the best use of sci-fi technology in a video game, and it gives a very interesting and unique take to the post-apocalyptic genre that is flooded the gaming industry for quite some time. So I think this is one of the most unique uh, post-apocalyptic video game that I've ever played, and there've been quite a few. We all know that. So unlike those other video games which are post-apocalyptic and they focus on one or two characters in their journey and their arc and how they survive, this is about how the entire nation of United States of America survives in this land, and how one man, the entire burden of survival has it's fell upon this the shoulders of this one person, and his name is Sam Porter Bridges, and his job is to deliver parcels that may be that may affect life or death situations, and parcels that may bring some amount of happiness. He can also parcel things that brings the loved ones closer together. uh, Without spoiling much, I would say that this is one of the best sci-fi video games that I've played. I think I've said this already, but yeah, I can't say this enough. Um, First things first, I the casting in this game, I was kind of put off by the casting of Leia Seydoux from Blue is the Warmest Color. I don't know how you pronounce her name. She's a French actress. I was initially was like, okay, I don't think that that's gonna work, but I think that it worked. It worked really well. I really ended up getting attached to her character, and her backstory really resonated with me. And a lot of other characters in the game, they have been voice acted really well. That is one of the things that I think is a driving force for Death Stranding. I think the voice acting and the acting in general is very well done. The motion capture is brilliant. You always feel like you will never take these characters anything but seriously, even if they're talking about stuff that you don't understand at first, and there's a lot of jargon in the game that you don't really understand, like BBs, BTs, repatriates. All of these things you really don't understand unless and until you invest a certain amount of time and you be patient, and then later on you will understand what every single one of those terms mean. And yeah, I think there's a lot of thought that went into this game, and especially I played this after the COVID-19 pandemic has already struck the world, and so I personally understand how much I value uh, the delivery men, the delivery personnel who delivered us medicines and food in our time of need, uh, especially in my country where there are so many people to feed. Uh, I live in India, so I really understand how the weight of the responsibility and at the same time the amount of risk you take when you are out there to deliver things. Even if you're you're doing it for money, you don't even get paid that much, but you're doing it because yeah, you also want to deliver those goods, because if you don't deliver the medicines on time, some people may die. And I really value the delivery personnel, even in the world that we live in. I think that they are the most underrated people, and I really value what they do, especially since the pandemic. And I think that is the whole point of this game, is that you are delivering goods and parcels to various individuals, and in some cases to entire cities, and you're saving them by delivering those parcels, and you get appreciated for the work that you put into it, and you feel like you've earned it every single time you deliver a parcel, especially if it's in a very rough terrain, or if it's a mountain region, which I'll come to later on. I think that you really feel like you've earned it. Those people, they give you thousands or millions of likes. There's a window for that, and you really feel like you've earned it. That scoring system, it works so well. It feels rewarding, and you at every point of your journey, because of the multiplayer component, which is awesome in this video. I think this is my favorite multiplayer component that I have ever experienced. I'm a huge Dark Souls 2 player. I still play it sometimes, and I personally thought that Dark Souls 2 SOTFS, even though it didn't have a great level design, however, I feel that the mechanics of the game were pretty fine, but yeah, it wasn't as good as the previous games, or even Dark Souls 3 for that matter. But I really like the multiplayer component of that game, and I think that this game, it tops that. Even though this is not combat based, and I don't know, technically it's not even your traditional multiplayer. You never really meet with those people who leave their structures for you by the path that you're about to take or venture into. But you still feel the connection with those people, and I think the multiplayer component is brilliant. You also get acknowledgement that your path was actually used by somebody. The path that you laid down was used by somebody. So I also much like most of the people who've played this game, went out of my way, and I made sure that this path is as accessible to new players who are going to traverse this land for the very first time. And yeah, that gave me a sense of satisfaction that I don't think many games have the ability to do that. So that was great. This game uses positive reinforcement in the best way possible, and I think that especially in the times that we're living in right now, COVID-19 isn't really over yet. I think vaccinations are going to take some time to be rolled out to the general public. So I think positive reinforcement is something that we all can use right now, and this game does an excellent job at positive reinforcement, I would say. Um, coming to coming to the story of this game, I was actually not a big fan of the characters at the first 3 or 4 hours of the game, because I honestly did not understand what they were trying to tell me and what was the purpose. I didn't find any motivation towards doing my missions to completion. I was curious for like the first 50% of this game. I was really curious about what I was going to encounter, but yeah, I didn't have enough motivation to uh, to complete my missions initially. But later on, as you come across things in the game, you realize that that your job in this game is one of great importance, and people really appreciate what you're trying to do. And yeah, you really start feeling for the characters later on when their backstory is revealed. I was personally touched with the backstory of one particular character, which I will not spoil, but it's a character that you basically interact with throughout the game, and I won't spoil. But yeah, my favorite character in the game is undoubtedly the BB unit that you carry around with you. It's my favorite character, and yeah, his story arc in the game is the best story arc in the game. And yeah, coming to some of the stupidities that you do encounter in Kojima games, I do recall when I was playing MGS5 Phantom Pain. Uh, I think there was a virus that these guys were infected in called the vocal cord parasites. Yeah, that was very stupid. I thought that that didn't make any sense at the time when I was playing the game, and when I was playing this game, there was something which was not as stupid as that, because the entire premise of the second half of MGS5 was based on that stupid vocal cord parasite thingy. So this doesn't have as many stupidities as you might think. So they, for the most part, make sense, but the names of the characters are kind of like, okay, like that's a little too out there. Like there is a character, his name is Die Hard Man. I found that quite funny. There's a character called Deadman. Even though the backstory of that character Deadman is, which is played by Guillermo del Toro, by the way, is quite touching. But yeah, I always found that it was kind of stupid. Leah Sado's character is called Fragile, because cargo fragile. So yeah, that was. I mean, those are things that you will find around in the game. But Kojima, I think, has really knocked it out of the park in this one. I think this is one of the best video games that you will ever play if you give it the time and attention that it needs. You give it like 10 hours, I would say. Chapter 3 of this game, a lot of people complain that chapter 3 is overly long. I personally found that chapter 5, 6, and 7 combined are like the two-thirds of this game, I would say, because it totally revolved around that mountainous region, and chapter 3 is not that long. If you use your brain and if you use the structures that other players have created, chapter 3 is not at all long. It's actually quite easy to make deliveries in that chapter. And yeah, this game, I towards the end of the game, I never felt like there was anything wrong with the pacing of this game. There are a couple of missions towards the end wherein you are asked to traverse the entire landscape. That means you have to go through the mountainous region, then you have to cross the grassy landscape, and you have to make it all the way to the, like, you are at the south of the map and you have to go to the north of the map. That's how long your journey is going to be. But yeah, they do tend to feel a little bit tedious, but when you are at that stage of the game, you have a great understanding, because you've already ventured into those areas in the previous missions of the game. So if you use your brain enough, and if you use the right materials, the right structures, if you build, you will have not much difficulty dealing with this. Combat in the game, there is none, I would say. I mean, it's barely combat. I mean, you have guns, you have ammunition with you. You can choose to carry them, but I consider it to be a waste of my inventory space. I barely carried any ammunition with me, unless and until I knew that I was going to encounter a lot of BT, which are beached things. That's the only enemy that you'll encounter, barring the boss fights in the game. So yeah, the beach things, they can really yeah, they are very well designed, I would say. They are invisible enemies. I think Kojima has already established himself as the king of stealth, and therefore this is also one of the best stealth video games that I've played ever. Yes, I'm looking at you, Last of Us. This is how you do stealth. It's brilliant, really, just amazing. There is one encounter in the middle of the game with the PTs, wherein you have to deliver a lot of supplies. Like, there is a lot of weight with you, and I made use of those floating carriers a lot in the game, throughout the game. In fact, I avoided vehicles because vehicles are basically joke vehicles in this game. You can't use them unless and until you come across a bridge that somebody else has built for you. They are basically unusable throughout the game. So yeah, I came across that one mission wherein the entire, like, you can say, as far as you can see in the landscape, it was completely BT territory. It was flooded with BTs, and I made through that land without getting detected, and it was I felt like a real sense of achievement, because I died there earlier twice. I didn't die. Sorry, I didn't die because, yeah, apparently you can't even die in this game. Like, because you are a repatriate. You revive yourself. So yeah, that's also a very cool thing. It makes sense. The game doesn't restart, and every time you do die in the game, technically you're not dying, but even every time you do die, you lose to a BT. It creates a void out in the world, wherein it will create this huge depression in the ground, and you can't access any of the structures that you've built or that other players have built for you, which I think is a very cool way of punishing the player of this game. It wants you to be stealthy against these enemies. It doesn't want you to engage in combat. It doesn't make any sense to engage in combat, because the ammunition that you have with you, they will do very less damage, and the enemies in the game, they will do very little damage to you as well. There is a very slow chance that you will die, but even if you do, very less chance that you will die. Even if you do, you can just you have a workaround around that. So yeah, that's about it. Mads Mikkelsen's character in the game is brilliant. I really liked him. I think that he's one of the best antagonists ever. That brings me to the second antagonist, which you think is supposedly the main antagonist of the game, but he's not. Troy Baker's character. I was kind of disappointed with his character. It was very over the top, not at all engaging, very stereotypical of him, I would say. Yeah, I didn't like him. I think that Troy Baker's abilities could have been put to better use, but yeah, that's just a very minor flaw with the game. Uh, what else? I would say that yeah, this is not a boring game. A lot of people have complained about this, or I don't know. I think everyone saw IGN's review for this. This is not a boring game at all. It's not for everyone. If you're looking for an action game, or if you're looking for a game that will give you moment to moment intense scenarios, moment to moment gameplay, this is not that kind of a game. This is a game that you will just sit back and enjoy, and at times use your brain and understand and connect with the story. If you really want to experience a good sci-fi story, then this is the game for you. If you like sci-fi, I would thoroughly suggest you give this a chance. Pick this up. It's available on PC. I played it on PS4. The fact that it runs on a PS4 is an achievement. Another very important thing, this game is a visual masterpiece. I think that there are very few games that can rival this game in terms of visuals. I think it's using the same engine that Horizon Zero Dawn was using in its game, and yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, we all know, is a beautiful game. So this game, I think it even beats that in some scenarios. So it's available on PC and PS4. If you want to pick this up, I would thoroughly suggest you do that. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this game and you enjoy this review. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.